What's up everyone, coming at you with 6 NCAA basketball picks for Monday, February 19th. Yesterday's video was once again our most watched video in channel history. We took some bad beats in that one, but still managed to finish the day 3-3 overall. We'll be posting an NCAA basketball video every day, so hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on our daily NCAA basketball and NBA videos. These picks are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com, where you can get all of our best picks and predictions on every major sport. Don't forget to comment below with any questions or bets on today's college basketball slate. I read and respond to every single comment. Now let's dive into our first game of the day, a showdown between Virginia and Virginia Tech. Virginia got the win, but not the cover for us on Saturday, taking down Wake Forest 49-47. That one really stung, but it might be time for us to get hurt once again. The Cavaliers have been solid this season, even when playing on the road, as their annoying defensive approach to the game of basketball does travel well and give them consistency that goes deeper than whether or not they're making shots on any given night. Reese Beekman is a monster, putting up 14 points and 6 assists per game in this slow-paced offense, and the last time these two teams played, he had a predictably solid outing. Virginia Tech just lost to UNC their last time out and has been struggling, dropping 4 of their last 5. The Hokies have been hoping to make it to the middle of the pack in the ACC. That has really not been part of the reality, as their poor rebounding and defense are holding them back. Earlier this season, they lost to Virginia despite making 11 threes and somehow staying even in the rebounding battle. I don't think we see that happen in this one. We're taking Virginia to get something of a bounce back win and cover. I know they won that last game, but man, that was devastating. And they're getting 2.5 points in this game. We are definitely taking Virginia on the road. I know this is a rivalry game. We have to kind of pick our spots on this short slate. None of these are huge, super locks for me, but I definitely like Virginia getting points on the road as the better team. Next up, we've got Kansas State heading to Texas in a Big 12 showdown. Kansas State comes into this game. They're not having the best time. They just lost to TCU and have dropped 6 of their last 7. But when you look at their schedule, this has been an insane stretch for them. The Wildcats have played 5 of those 7 games against teams ranked in the top 25, and their one win in that stretch was over number 4 Kansas. This squad plays solid defense and crashes the boards and often just doesn't have not quite enough offense to get them over the top. They don't have like a premier scorer. Cam Carter's putting up 15.5 points per game on 40% shooting, so solid but nothing insane. If this team just had a little bit more offense, I think we could see them move up the standings in this insanely competitive conference, but right now, I kind of feel like they're where they belong. Texas has also been struggling a bit recently against elite competition. They're 2-4 over the last 6 games, 5 of which have been against top 25 opponents. When you're playing in the Big 12, there's really nowhere to hide this season. The Longhorns are coming off a blowout loss at Houston, so there could be something of a bounce back angle for them, but this also could be a look ahead spot as they're heading to number 6 Kansas for their next game. Guys, this is a tough one. Like I said, this is a pretty tough slate. Texas is only 5-10 against the spread playing at home, and Kansas State is 4-3-0 against the spread when playing on the road. We're going to go with Kansas State and the points in this one. Once again, this isn't like a super lock for me, but I just think the value in this game is on the road team, making this competitive. Sure, Texas has had some blowouts this season, but they're not playing insanely well, and this is a look ahead spot. Give me Kansas State and the points. Next up, we're headed over to the Southland Conference for this one. We've got Nicholls headed to New Orleans. Nicholls comes into this game fresh off a loss to Southland powerhouse McNeese, but have been comfortably in the top half of their conference this season overall. This team's biggest weakness is their defense, but when taking on weaker conference opponents, that doesn't seem to have been as nagging of an issue as you would think. The Colonels have 2 great scorers in Deontay Smith and Jamal West, and it's going to be difficult for any comparable team to shut down both. New Orleans is not having a good time, going only 3-10 in the Southland, with their last win coming against a lowly conference opponent that put up almost 0 fight. The Privateers have a monster leading scorer in Jordan Johnson, but that is where the roster begins and ends. Their defense is non-existent and their rebounding is similarly terrible. The last time these two teams met, we saw Nicholls come away with a close win despite New Orleans shooting the lights out from 3 and also having a significant free throw edge. We're taking Nicholls to get the win and cover on the road, where they are a solid 8-5 against the spread, and I expect them to use this as a bounce back spot against a terrible opponent that has no defense and is only 2-5 against the spread when playing at home. Give us the Nicholls Colonels in this one. Next up, we've got the biggest matchup of the day. We see Iowa State heading to Houston to take on the Cougars. Iowa State comes in this game fresh off a 4th straight win, taking down Texas Tech and putting up solid numbers, playing through an extremely tough Big 12 schedule. The Cyclones are an elite defensive team that we can rely on to play at maximum effort on a nightly basis and give themselves a chance to win against basically every opponent. They took down Houston earlier in the season despite shooting only 3 of 15 from deep in a game that was basically a rock fight that ended 57-53. Houston is tied for the top spot in the Big 12 with Iowa State and have won 3 straight since losing at Kansas. The Cougars are an elite rebounding and defensive team that can struggle offensively sometimes, and they don't play a ton of guys, which could lead to some fatigue issues towards the end of games. This team dominates opponents, but their losses have come against elite conference opponents, so that gives us a little bit of reason for concern in this game. I was very surprised when we saw that Iowa was getting 9.5 points playing on the road in this one. Iowa's a very solid 5-2 against the spread. I know Houston is a great team, and they've been even better playing at home, but with Iowa State putting up those solid road numbers, and they have the confidence of having already beaten this team once this season, I think at minimum we get a very close and competitive game. That gives the points all the value in this one. I'm going with the points again. Maybe we get burnt. Maybe Houston just goes absolutely nuts. But on this short slate, we got to look for what little value we can find. And in this one, I think the value is with Iowa State and the points. Headed back to the Southland for this next one, we see Lamar heading to Southeastern Louisiana. Lamar comes into this game fresh off a win at New Orleans and had one of their best offensive games of the season. The Cardinals are an absolutely elite offensive team ranked in around the top 50 nationally, and their rebounding numbers look solid thanks in part to the pace of play. The last time these two teams faced off, we saw Lamar get out-rebounded but still win 74-64. This squad doesn't rely too much on any individual score, and they've been in the top half of this conference all season long. Southeastern Louisiana now has won 6 in a row, which is pretty wild. Even crazier than that, though, they handed McNeese their only loss in conference play this season. The Lions are clearly getting better as the conference schedule winds down, but their last 2 games were nail-biters against 2 of the absolute worst teams in the Southland. The Lions just got out-rebounded by Houston Christian and had to shoot nearly 50% from 3 to win that game by only 3 points. We're taking Lamar plus 1.5 on the road this one, as we are actually getting the better team and getting points with this one. Unless Southeastern Louisiana shoots the absolute lights out in back-to-back games, I think we see the Lions get a comfortable win, and I wouldn't blame you for just betting them on the money line. Rounding things out for this very short Monday slate, we're looking at Colgate headed to Lafayette. This game actually starts at 5 p.m. Central Time, so watch out for that one. It is a little bit of an early start, but nothing too crazy. Colgate is now on an 11-game winning streak, coming off a very easy win over Bucknell as they continue to cruise to win after win in the Patriot Conference. This squad is finding success thanks to solid defense and rebounding and an offense that relies on their solid ball movement to put up enough points to get the job done. The Raiders, once again, they're not one of those teams that rely on any one player overly much for offense production, and Braden Smith is a very reliable point guard, running the offense, averaging 6 assists per game. Lafayette just got the win against American their last time out and are solidly in second place in the Patriot, 3 games back of Colgate. Obviously, there's a significant gap there. The Leopards have had a hard time generating offense and are using kind of an offense by committee approach this year without any standout stars. Relying on defense only can be a pretty tricky and dangerous strategy at times. It can really fall apart if you're at an extreme skill deficit, which is what I think we see in this game. We're taking Colgate minus 7.5. The Raiders are the far better team, find themselves in a great revenge spot against an opponent they lost to earlier in the season, in a game where they had to feel like their opponent got very, very lucky. We see Colgate a very solid 7-4-1 against the spread when playing on the road. Lafayette is only 4-7-0 against the spread when playing at home. I think this is a very good spot for Colgate. That's all we've got for this one. We tried to find you guys some good value on this very short Monday slate. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment below with any questions or comments about these picks or today's slate, and check out stumpthespread.com to see all of our top plays. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you're enjoying these videos. We will see you guys tomorrow for more NCAA basketball action.